Welcome back to Mindful Moxies. In this episode, we uncover the truth about what it really means to embrace your potential, not as a final destination, but as a journey of growth, alignment, and courage. Let's go!
Be mindful of yourself, be mindful of your wealth, be mindful of your health. You need it, just take a breath, it's your life. Live it, be your best, stay box free with your mindful moxie.
We are your Moxies, guiding you through the messy, real, and empowering journey of personal growth. Welcome back to another episode of Mindful Moxies. We are so excited to be here. My name is Adrianna Foster.
So excited. I'm cutting you off as you're saying, Adrianna Foster. Because my headset's falling. Hold on. Okay, there. It's like the thing with the hair and the, you know. And I'm Luly B. Carreras.
No, but say it how you always say it, though.
How do I say
I
it?
am Luly B. Carreras.
I am Luly B. Carreras.
There you go. And we are your Mindful Moxies. We are here to share with you the struggles of growth in life so you can experience life from a place of courage, of power, and of grace. We are here to give you the toolbox. We designed this podcast to create and bring our expertise. Luly, both, and I have years and years and years of expertise working with people, specifically women, teaching them how to unblock their ability to create abundance, joy, fulfillment, and happiness in their lives. And with all that we've learned in our own businesses by ourselves and together, because we've been friends for a long time.
A long ass time.
So we decided to do this and to bring you this beautiful toolbox so you can too become a mindful moxie.
Mindful Moxie. That's right.
Yes. So what are we talking about today, Luly?
We're talking about a buzzword, a word that we tend to hear a lot. And we just want to unpack it and kind of maybe even redefine it.
Yes.
And that word, you all ready?
Yes. Ready?
All ready.
1, 2, 3. Is
potential.
I love that you sang too. I love Luly.
You have me singing, and that.
Yes.
And
now you're gonna rap. In the last episode, I'm gonna make Luly rap.
Okay, I'm gonna rap. Chicky, chicky, wiki, wiki. So,
Yeah, like
Potential.
when I hear someone says, and mind you, and I'm going to, talk about myself because I do that too. I'm like, I teach women how to reach their full potential. And then when I say that, I'm like, what on earth does that mean? Like, I need to be clear on what potential means. Like when somebody, I remember when I was in my lowest moments, you're not living to your true potential. I'll be like, stop it. I don't know what that means.
right. Well, it's just like success, right?
Right.
I want to be. So many women, when they start the Boost program or even like in the call with me, and I'm sure this happens also with Loud Women Nation, Adrianna, I want to be successful. And then when I ask them, well, what does that look like? They don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Because we've just heard the word that you want to be successful, right? And the same is true for potential. You haven't reached your potential. And it's kind of like saying we're going on a road trip, but not telling me where we're going. It's kind of like, let's get in the car. But you have potential. But where are we going? Potential. It's like, do I pack a ski jacket? Do I need a cute outfit?
Exactly,
Am I wearing a dress?
Yes.
Do I need a scarf? Right?
Yes.
And that is true for potential. Is like we get to define it. And I think also, not only do we get to define it, but we get to honor the stage and the phase that we are in our lives at that point.
Yes.
Right? Like my potential 5 years ago is very different than my potential right now.
Absolutely.
And remembering and understanding and discerning that potential has almost like legs, right? It has phases and stages, because potential is so much like growth. It's opportunities to up level. And up level doesn't mean doing more, by the way. And last episode or 2 episodes ago that we talked about hustle.
Right.
We talked about the hustle and the grit and getting that gold star for being exhausted, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about embracing all the things that make us magical and amazing. And I know that from in my own life, right? Before we started recording this podcast, I put on an Instagram reel of me speaking a couple weeks ago at an event, and Adrianna looked at me and she's like, who's talking? And I was like, that was me. And of course, my voice was a little bit different because the mic was off. But I also think, and I would attribute that to my tone, my empathy, my compassion, my experiences. My potential has changed in the last few years.
1,000%. You know? And it is very related to growth, right? We have to understand that the only thing that is constant in this world, and it's important that we remember this and that we get very comfortable with, is change. And in order for us to truly reach our potential, right? We need to be comfortable with changing. And not only that, but we need to embrace it. And there's so many comments. I mean, I could do a whole series, a whole podcast around the challenges of shifting, changing, and transforming, right? There's so many challenges that we go through because we have biases, because we have ideas, and more importantly, we have labels that we create or that we learned from family patterns, from societal, patterns, labels towards things that is really hard for us to let go. In order for us to embrace change, we have to learn how to surrender. And we get to understand that we are in constant evolution. Our psyche, our mind, our nervous system, our body, our cells. Do the research. Don't believe me. Go ahead and do the research. It's in constant evolution. You are physically not the same person that you were 10 years ago. So when we embrace that can give you the space for you to get to understand and identify what your potential is and the opportunity to play to your optimal potential, really live life towards that. So I would say that potential is not a destination. Potential is not, when I think about the word potential, when we were designing this podcast, the image that came to my mind is like the horse with the carrot, right? That you're walking and walking and walking, and because
or a cupcake.
There you go,
not a carrot.
Yes,
but yeah, horses like cupcakes.
Yes, they do.
But Luly's like cupcakes.
So imagine you have a cupcake here, or in my case, I have chocolate, right? And I'm like, and we never reach that because
that's right.
You can always be better.
That's right.
Right? I truly feel I have learned that your greatest potential is learning how to evolve and being present every single time, every single moment in your life with the new person that you are, and give yourself the opportunity to be that person. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. And I think, for me, several years ago when I discovered Simon Sinek and discovered his work, and then, also did Gallup Strengths Finder, where it is an assessment where you discover and uncover your strengths. What I really appreciate about that assessment is, I think all too often in life, and even so many of the episodes that we've talked to, where we've shared here, what tends to happen is if we're not good at something, we focus on those things. And don't get me wrong, that's important. But when I was little, I was not great at math, but I was really good at speaking. I was really good at writing. And I'm grateful that I had teachers and parents that constantly put me in scenarios and situations where I could hone that skill. And while I might have needed a math tutor, math is not my thing. And nowadays, it doesn't have to be my thing. And
it doesn't have to.
I got to focus on my strengths and hone my strengths and strengthen my strengths.
Yeah.
So I think the Gallup Strengths Finder for me just kind of gave me permission to really just use my superpowers. And then Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and that if you know me, you know that I love his work and I'm always talking about him. I've been talking about him for over a decade. I think his work is absolutely magnificent. Understanding that, when we start with the why, when we start with the purpose, we can be so much more magical, so much more impactful.
Yes, because we are connected to our truth. right? We are aligned to our truth. This is when we were talking a few episodes ago, right? About being aligned to who you are. And then from there, you can discover your potential. One of the main things that I see with my clients, both Lao Nation hypnotherapy, is that we suffer from, you talk about this all the time,
I call it comparisonitis.
Comparisonitis.
I call it as like the great epidemic that we are facing right now.
The great epidemic.
Especially among women.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when people come to me and they are experiencing comparisonitis from Dr. Luly, what I see is that they feel disappointment, judgment, and almost like a burnout of trying to reach that potential that they feel they have to. And again, let's go to the root. Where does that come from, right? This is very important to understand. When we experience an environment where we were demanded to be in a certain way to belong into the family pattern, to be in a certain way to also make our parents feel good parents, right? Because that is a real issue that happens, in a lot of family dynamics. When we experience a childhood where we had to perform and we had to give results in order to feel connection and love, we will always strive for that potential. But the potential will be linked to this never-ending or non-existing place of perfection. And that can cause mental health issues, that can cause anxiety, depression, that can cause physical exhaustion, that can cause for us to completely derail ourselves and create a life that has nothing to do with what we want. Luly, you don't understand how many people I see in my office that they are extremely successful lawyers, extremely successful accountants, or people that never like full-time moms, full-time parents, or whatever it is the case, that they have built an entire life upon something that has nothing to do with who they are or what they truly want. Somebody else's definition.
Yeah.
So understanding what success is for you and what potential is for you will be the first step for you to be able to reach that potential. And sometimes potential is just getting up in the morning.
That's right.
Brushing your hair and going to work. Because that is in the moment what your potential can be. And sometimes you have a mission within you. You have a book within you. You have a career. You have and you get to heal so you can play big.
That's right.
And reach that potential.
That's right. And I think that is something that's really important to share, because by no means are we excusing, right? Or are we substituting hard work and determination and tenacity. What we are saying is that both can exist.
Both.
And that we get to define the stage and the phase that we're in.
Right.
Right. I work with a lot of moms. And sometimes these women are like, I'm not being a good mom if I'm not home for dinner, or, all the slew of thousands of things that we condition ourselves and judge ourselves of not being good enough in the role that we play. And in this situation, many times it's with moms. And so I find myself coaching them and giving them the distinction, right? And really being able to discern. And I often share the story of my oldest son. When he was 8 years old, I was at a big event. I was doing a weekend festival. At the time, I had Chispa Marketing, my marketing agency, and my 8-year-old son, baseball game, hit a grand slam. And a grand slam is when the bases are loaded, and your son hits a home run and scores 4 points for the team, and you are not there because you're working. And again, the potential thing, right? The success, the not being good enough. And in that stage and in that phase, Mama was not there because Mama was making a substantial amount of money that weekend for the lifestyle that I wanted to provide for my family, for my children, which is a very personal decision. And I remember when his father called and shared that he had hit a grand slam, the guilt started to creep up. And the noise from the event that I had to escape for that, that minute or two was so loud. So I had to go even farther and cover my ear and like almost mute myself so that I could hear my son. And for those few seconds that the guilt started to creep up, I realized I had an opportunity here. And my opportunity was I am fulfilling my potential. And I am modeling this for my 8-year-old son.
Yes.
And he might not see it right now. And so, and so his father tells me he hit a grand slam. I'm putting him on the phone. I know that you're working. I get on the phone. I said, Pops, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. I'm sorry I'm not there. But when I get back home on Monday, I want to watch this video because thankfully it was on video. And we're going to make popcorn because I make some mean popcorn with extra butter.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch the video and we're going to celebrate. How does that sound? And he was like, Mama, that's amazing. We hung up. It was over. On Monday, we watched the video. We ate the popcorn. We did the thing. And years later, right, because my son now is not 8. He is 20. So this is a dozen years ago, literally 12 years ago. And just a few years ago, I'm retelling him the story. And he says to me, you weren't there that day?
Wow. I just got goosebumps.
No, I wasn't there. And you see what I was doing.
Yes.
I was fulfilling my potential.
Yes.
For the stage, for the phase that I was in my life at that time. And even more magical and even more beautiful is I was modeling that for my son who is now in college, fulfilling his own potential.
Absolutely. And if we break this example down, thank you so much for sharing. This is incredible. If we break it down, you gave your son a lot of gifts that day. You gave your son the gift of understanding how to prioritize himself and his dreams and his potential, no matter what.
That's right.
You gave him permission to put himself first. You modeled what it is to live up to your potential and to give yourself permission to belong to you, to yourself, so you can also be the best person that you can to your family.
That's right.
But most important, you showed him that the yes and can exist. That love and connection can exist in different ways and forms.
That's giving me goosebumps.
That is not attached to one label. A good mom is with her son all the time. No. A good mom is a mom, or a good father, right? A good parent is a parent that heals their wounds so they can be the best they can be, so they can be free, so they can live aligned to their truth, and they can live an authentic life, because that is what your son learned. And look at him right now.
I know.
And
I know.
this is crazy because when I do regressions, sometimes we have memories in our childhood that then, my clients come back and it's like, we didn't have a basement. Oh, for instance, I had a memory one time of I was dropping a balloon for like Santa Claus, and then I was so sad because my dad wasn't there. And it was like a whole thing. That's how I worked the relationship with my father. And then I found a picture where I saw that the person that was holding the balloon was my father.
Oh, wow.
So in regression, what we do, that was huge. In regression, what we do is that when we have these memories, right, we understand the feeling. So I felt abandoned by my father, and that's why my brain gave me that memory, and it was an incorrect memory. But it doesn't matter because it triggered the feeling that I needed to feel. It happens the other way around.
That's right.
For George, you were always there, no matter what. So he probably remembers that you were there because you were there for him. You were modeling what it is to live your true, authentic self life to your potential. And that's what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Kudos.
Thank you. I didn't realize that story was going to be so amazing. And now
it's incredible.
We didn't even plan that. That's so beautiful.
We didn't even plan it.
Because this is magical.
Yeah. I love it. I experienced something similar when I went to The Voice in 2022. I was invited to be part to participate at The Voice in Mexico. But in order for me to be there, I had to, depending on how far I got in the program, right? I had to stay in Mexico. And my daughter had school, and, it was not a regular trip. And I stayed there for 3 months.
I remember this.
And I remember that I was not going to go because I was like, if I get to the finals, there's no way that I can leave my daughter. Like, I've never left my daughter so bad. And my boyfriend, Arabia, he told me, he's like, you have to go. Because if you don't go, you are going to resent her You're going to resent me and you're going to resent yourself. You have to go. And she's going to be fine. And Maya struggled. Maya went through so many ups and downs. It was so hard for her. And I would cry every single night. But the truth of the matter is that it made her not just independent, but it also gave her this sense of purpose and the ability to prioritize her purpose in such a way that you see her today. And it's amazing. And yesterday she did a speech in her school, and she mentioned me and she quoted me as one of the most inspirational people in her life. And I started crying and everything.
Of course. I want to cry just thinking about that. That's so beautiful.
And in my head is like the stories. There's an episode of Mindful Moxies. Look it up. The story I tell myself, right? The story I told myself is that I abandoned my daughter. But the truth is that I was more present than ever.
1,000%.
I was showing her the same thing that you did for George. I was modeling her what it is to give myself permission to be my potential. In that moment, it was going to The Voice and staying in Mexico, and she learned.
And I think by giving after that, Maya found her purpose.
Yes.
In music and in theater and in performing arts.
Yes.
And it just completely, like, at least for me, right, from the outside looking in as one of her aunties, right, she just skyrocketed.
It skyrocketed completely.
And I wonder how much we can attribute that to her going through the pain that she did. And that makes me want to cry, right? Just thinking about it. Like those really hard times where we're witnessing our children in so much pain, and then giving them the tools and allowing them to figure it out, right? And you modeling what this could look like for her. And now she's doing that for herself, which is so beautiful.
1,000%. And when you hear her talk about commitment, my daughter's 12 years old. And when you hear her talk about commitment, like for her, commitment is a big deal. And she tells me all the time, Mommy, you were so committed in Mexico. Like I can commit to go to an after school every day.
Wow.
I can commit to doing my homework. I can commit to do this because I modeled it. And it was not easy, but it's about understanding and identifying what is your truth. And around your truth, what purpose does your truth has in your life and how you want to embody it and exercise it. Because at the end of the day, it is your life. Nobody is going to live your life for you. And even though you want to achieve or get to this place where it's going to make you feel all these things, right? Like, oh, if I make $1 million or I am successful or whatever that looks like. I wanted to be the new Celine Dion, right? I thought that was my potential. The truth is that me building a life on this false idea of searching this potential got me further away from my true potential. I'm so grateful every single day of my life for my failure in my music career. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Sitting in front of you.
Do you see these goosebumps?
Potential is always within. And if you learn how to listen and you get out of the way and you surrender and you embrace change and evolution, potential will find you. And if you give yourself permission to be uncomfortable, potential will find you and you will cross a threshold and you will experience total sovereignty and freedom.
Mic drop.
We can't drop these mics.
I have nothing. Yeah, we can't drop these mics, but if I could, I would. Yeah, my pen. I'm going to drop my pen.
Pen drop.
Pen drop.
Plant drop. Oh, no.
I love that. And I think that, again, experiencing that level of freedom in honoring where we are at. And then when we're getting there, knowing that there's going to be new opportunities, new ways to grow, new ways to expand. Because the truth is that we never stop growing. And you actually said that earlier. Like, if there's anything we know to be true is that we're going to constantly be growing, right?
Constantly.
Tony Robbins says you either grow or die. I don't know about you, but I'm going to grow.
I'm going to grow.
I'm going to grow, right? And so I really appreciate what you just said about that path. And then just that beautiful reminder. We get to remind you that, you know, Stick to the strengths. Stick to the things that bring you the joy, and honor the stage that you're at, and know that when you get there, then there's going to be something else. There's going to be another opportunity to grow, another opportunity to expand, another opportunity to enhance your impact.
Absolutely. I want to remind you that potential is not a place that you arrive to. Potential is the space where you are true to yourself and you are allowing yourself to exercise your purpose, to be 1,000% you, to embrace the new you and be loud and put yourself out there and live it. That is potential. So if right now you're listening to us and you feel a little lost because you don't know what your potential is, I invite you to look at yourself where you are right now. What do you need and what do you desire? And sometimes we have to push ourselves. Find your tribe. Find your tribe that's going to tell you, no, bitch, you have to go and do the podcast and speak or tell that person that you love them or whatever that is.
That's right.
And be willing to cross that path, because once you get there, potential will find you and you will feel it. You will feel it in your heart.
That's right. This ain't no road trip.
No
road trip.
No road trip.
No road trip.
And if you can't find anybody to empower you, call us, because we are here. You can follow us on social media. I'm going to put social medias there in the screen. Follow us. We are here to serve you, and we're here to remind you that you are a mindful Moxie, and we love you. Thank you so much for another beautiful episode. We'll see you next week. Please follow us. Thank you, our beautiful audience, for being here with us. We'll see you next week. We love you.
See you next week.
I'm Adrianna Foster.
And I'm Luly Carreras.
Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and visit mindfulmoxies.com to connect with us. See you next week.